Welcome back to the 127 Fit podcast. Today's guest is a private chef. He is the 2019 Industry Chef of the Year. Today's guest is Chef Joel Mays. Joel, I want to welcome you to the 127 Fit podcast.
Thank you for having me. How you guys doing?
For sure. So Joel, we're just going to jump right in to kind of like what I like to call the conversational warm-up. I've got 4 questions I like to ask all of my guests. The first question that I have for you is, how do you start your day? Do you have a specific morning routine or morning ritual you like to stick to on most mornings?
Up by 5 every day, and that's a late day.
Okay.
That's definitely a late day for me. Right from there, workout.
Okay.
Definitely try to get a morning workout in because I'm really keen on spending time in the evenings with family as much as I can.
For sure.
And then also being able to cook for specific clients that may need that pop-up kind of meal. So the earlier I can get started, the better. Like Sunday's my earliest day of the week, so I start at 3 in the morning.
Wow.
And I'll cook with clients until 8, then deliver all around the city from, up this area to downtown, all the way through Green Valley Ranch, Commerce City, and then back to the Aurora area. So it's really that balance. So the routine is always get up, get after it, work out, cook great food, and just help people reach their goals.
Cool. Now I wanna just touch on the working out, the movement. I've had well over 100 guests on the podcast now, and I would say probably 99% of them incorporate some sort of workout or some sort of movement within that morning routine. Why have you found, Joel, that movement or that workout specifically in the morning to be such an important part of how you start your day and your day overall?
I think it's that endorphin, it's that push, it's that excitement because you have done something that most of the world won't do.
For sure.
You've worked out, you've trained, you tried to make yourself better in that moment. And when you do that, you kind of, granted, the soreness and tightness hits you a little bit, but you're able to kind of go through the day and realize, I have so much more time in my hands. And then you also know going to the gym at that 4 to 6 p.m., that's peak time, so you may not get a bench. You may not get a treadmill. You may not get a Stairmaster. So it's, you go crack of dawn when everybody's sleeping, you're doing work.
For sure.
So it's that, my mantra is always to live the dream, sleep when you're dead. So
I like
you just got to push past everything and just go for it. And then no matter what, take every workout, every business opportunity, everything by storm. And then you realize, you look back on everything you've done and realize you've accomplished something.
Love it, man. Now, really quickly, just one more thing in regards to your working out. What type of working out or training do you usually like to focus on?
For the last couple of years, when I started my weight loss journey, I was doing legs every day, heavy lifting with a good friend of mine, because when me and my wife had lost our daughter, working out was my therapy. That was like the release. So I was doing deadlifts, back squats, front squats, sumo deadlifts in that rotation with other compound movements. And he was teaching me a lot about that. But once I shed over 85 pounds, I realized, okay, I have a nice mass, but now I want to trim. So it was more about the high intense cardio, going to certain classes at other local gyms, but then also getting my own routine going to where I know that I put people on, I call it the miles challenge. As you see on Instagram, I post it up. It's like, can you hit 2 miles a day without thinking about it 6 days a week? So the goal is to hit 12 miles every week. The goal is to do some kind of turf work, sled pulls, doing lunges, doing simple shoulder presses, shrugs, doing tricep extensions, pull-ups, things that are going to get your body to rethink, but then also using body weight outside of heavy weight. Because again, I'm not on the field, I'm not, on a court. I don't need to have this explosive mass anymore. And I'm not doing any shows. I'd rather look a certain way, but also be cut up. And then knowing that I can be a fit chef without looking like the old adage that chefs have to be big in order to make great food. No, different age now.
I love it, man. I love it. Bringing something fresh to the game, which is super cool. All right, so the next question that I have, Joel, for you, do you have a favorite book or book that you like to gift often?
Anything Langston Hughes.
Okay,
Anything.
Langston Hughes, you said?
Anything Langston Hughes, absolutely.
Okay, cool. What's why is Langston kind of your go-to author?
Well, one, is my son's name, but then 2, Langston Hughes, his poetry got me through a lot between high school and college, because the way he wrote, he told stories about that time frame. He put a lot of things in place and explained so much about the history of people and the history of America,
Mm-hmm.
all the way from when there was slavery time all the way through the Harlem Renaissance. And he talked about the music, the people. I mean, he can even give you a poem about the water. It will make you think that you're sitting right there next to him as he's reading it to you.
Mm.
So he puts you in that mindset. So his words always resounded in me in daily life.
Cool. I love it, man. All right, so the next question, favorite quote, mantra, or word? And if you don't mind, repeat kind of like that quote that you said earlier. You mentioned when we were talking about how you start your day. So if you don't mind repeating that quote, and then if there's maybe another quote, mantra, or word that's been really impactful in your life, feel free to share that as well, please.
Well, the quote is definitely to live the dream, sleep when you're dead.
Yeah.
That is tattooed on my chest. That is the way that I, live, because it's so much that we have to do on this side,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the wake of what happened on Sunday, with like the great Kobe Bryant and his daughter, and then all the people that were affected. We don't have enough time on this side to waste.
Absolutely.
Within 24 hours, what did you do to accomplish everything you wanted? Because you may not see another 24.
Mm-hmm.
So within that push, I always feel the word for me moving forward is perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Because everything that you see, everything you do, everything that you hear has to be put into a certain perspective in order for you to evolve. Not only as an adult, but then just as a human being and everything that you try to change. Kids have to understand that too, especially teenagers, and then everything that they're dealing with. Different mindset from me. When me and you were growing up, it's now how do we go past all that and just create a better mindset for what we want in life and what we want to accomplish before we leave this side.
Mm. You brought up Kobe, and I would love to kind of just have you share your thoughts a little bit in regards to Kobe. I mean, I'm 32. I grew up, watching Kobe. He was never my favorite player. I'm definitely not going to say that, but when I found out that he passed away, 41 years old, his daughter, and then this whole other, family, I believe, was on the helicopter. I'm still like in shock. I really can't believe it. And I've listened to a lot of the, former NBA players, current NBA players, coaches, all that type of stuff. They're in shock as well. But I would love, Joel, for you just to share a little bit more about kind of like where your heart's at in regards to the news of Kobe Bryant passing away on Sunday.
He's our generation's Jordan. LeBron is the new generation's Jordan. Everybody compares it to who Mike is. Mike was the epitome of basketball, but Kobe was the catapult. Kobe took the game to the next level. Whether it was how he dunked on somebody, the windmill dunk will never be the same, the off-court support that he's gotten doing, the business opportunities, his investments, the Mamba Academy with the basketball courts in the studio for people to train and learn from one of the best athletes in the world. MJ had his time. Kobe is now epitomized in the Hall of Fame and in the archives forever, no matter what. In every arena throughout the country, he will be in the rafters. That's just how it's supposed to be. That's homage. And I believe with everything from him to the pilot to his daughter to his daughter's teammate and her family, it's a tragedy and what that looks like. But the fact that they can walk into Jannah hand in hand with each other and then meet ancestors, meet the angels, and be able to just transcend. They just now look down upon their family and support them when they can.
Cool. I appreciate you sharing that. The final question is part of the conversational warm-up. Do you have a favorite or most listened to podcast?
Probably, I love the Minimalist podcast, definitely, and I love the Black Minimalist podcast because they give you just certain tools and structures to help you purge, how to get over the excessiveness of life and wanting to have so much more than what you need. Like when you walk into your closet, it's like, okay, why do you still have stuff with tags on it?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you still have these different things, or why are you wearing these, clothes, and you literally go out maybe once or twice a week, so you have 12 shirts, but you hang out twice a week or once a week on a Saturday night, and then you have all these extra shirts that just sit there, and then by the time you want to wear them all, the season changed, and then you can't because then now you're in short sleeves.
Mm-hmm.
What do you go do? You go buy a ton of short sleeve shirts, and then that just repeats the cycle. Sustain what you have enjoy what you have. And then I always say, if you're going to buy something, replace it with something else.
Mm.
So if you buy something, you have to get rid of something, no matter what. If you got something new, like a pair of new shoes, or for you being the personal trainer, you got a brand new belt. Okay, great, you got a new lifting belt. The old leather one, maybe you can donate it. Help somebody else that wants to get into lifting and doing back squats properly. Support them in that habit. Shoes, lifting shoes. They get dogged out sometimes, and you get that little crumble in the heel. Donate to Goodwill.
Mm-hmm.
Always go beyond, because what's the point of having 12 sneakers sitting in the corner?
Right,
That you
for
only,
sure.
you only lifted 2.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
really about that process. So minimalist is definitely the practice that I've been on right now, and it's pretty amazing because you see how far you can go, but also the appreciation of walking into your closet, just throw something on without having to stand there and ponder it.
Mm-hmm.
You just wear it.
Mm. Yeah, well, you're preaching to the choir, Joel, because I call myself an extreme minimalist. Like I sleep on the floor. Like I've been sleeping on the floor. I don't even have a bed, dude.
Okay.
I've been sleeping on the floor since, I don't know, probably like 23, 24. And I just, the more you have, the more opportunities there are for like anxiety and just like, you just like, I feel like the more I have, like there's obviously more responsibility, but then I almost feel like bogged down, right?
Absolutely.
But when you purge, which I love that word, when you purge or when you let go of the material things, for me, there's a sense of freedom within that. Do you kind of agree with that?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm a sneakerhead. I'm a hat guy. So having 125 hats, having 300 plus pair of sneakers, it was why why do I have 12 pair of blue and black shoes? Why do I have this many red and black Jordans? Granted, Jordans are just timeless, but being able to minimize that down, but then knowing what I'm doing when I got rid of it, selling stuff, getting rid of it, then donating, hats to friends that love it, or even friends that I have that are in New York that used to live here, like, oh man, I always wanted that shoe, and then just shipping it to him because he wanted that shoe, but it just sat there in my closet. What do I need to look at? It's not artwork. I don't need to just have it sitting there. So why not let somebody enjoy it and wear it? So that 300 went to now only 45, and then that 45 pair is the constant rotation. And if I get gifted a pair of shoes, because I'm on a shoe sabbatical, not really buying kicks right now, but if I get another pair, I have to get rid of one pair because I want to keep that number of 45 to 50 as the cutoff. I don't want to go beyond that because my shoe and hat room is perfect how it is. I don't need to keep building up on that because when I do that, I've literally just oversaturated, and then I'm back to where I started. It's almost it's almost like an addict. You relapse.
Yeah.
My wife always says, "Oh, you're addicted to shoes," and then I tattooed it on my leg, and like kind of as a joke, I'm like, sneaker addiction. It's not an addiction. It's a lifestyle. So being able to say that shoes are a lifestyle, you have to kind of just change that mindset because again, my sons will wear everything when they get old enough. So it's whatever I have extra, I just make sure I hand it down to them.
Yeah.
They'll be in great condition for them.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, so I kind of want to, take a step into your childhood.
Okay.
So if you don't mind sharing with myself and the 127 Fit podcast listeners, Joel, where did you grow up? What did those younger years look like? Were you involved in sports? Were you involved in extracurricular activities? Just touch on a little bit of that childhood up to maybe about high school. And then once we get up to high school, we'll kind of transition from there.
Born and raised Washington, D.C., Northeast, Washington, D.C., uptown boy. From there, my parents, we moved out of the district and we lived in PG County in Maryland. So Prince George's County, Maryland, Mitchellville area, Lago area to be exact. That's where I was born and raised, man. Like the DMV is a whole another monster. Like growing up in DC, the sounds, the music, the mannerisms of like the folk. They call it Chocolate City for a reason because you just see so many beautiful individuals of color and just out there like hustling. And then Prince George's County is the richest minority county there is in the country.
Wow.
So it's the most dual 6-figure income household in the country. And I'm honored because my parents never came from that. They never had that kind of scratch. But seeing friends' houses, we were in this townhome, and then it's just a townhome. Then you go to friends' houses and gated communities and whatnot and see these amazing big cars and all that. Like I didn't come from none of that, man. I came from the humble beginnings to understand that you work for every damn penny you got, period. There's no silver spoon. I ain't got a bronze spoon, man. Like there's no place in that. Like I might have the rusted one.
Yeah,
I had the one that was like under the grass that somebody discovered with a metal detector.
Right,
like,
right.
I had to work for every little step of the way, and just seeing my parents and how hard they grinded from the bus rides to work to and from in cold winter days, or the sacrifices on Saturdays to go and take side jobs. My mom and dad did everything that they could to make sure me and my sister were pretty much good to go all the way up into high school, and then it was a transition into how do you build adulthood? How do you focus on being your own individual? And I never forget going through that high school process, and allowance was cut off. No money was coming in.
Yeah.
It was, okay, what you going to do to make your own money? So I just worked at the local amusement park, man, and every summer through high school and college, that was the hustle. Literally in the hot sun, just working.
Yeah.
Whether it be ride operator, I was doing park service to where I was sweeping and cleaning the throw up, man. And then when I got into food service, that was the other capstone, because I started college and got my associates in culinary. And they were like, oh, we'd love to have you doing this. But then they throw me into the hardest shop ever, the funnel cake shop. At the front of the park. When everybody leaves, what do they want? A funnel cake. So that was, and that's where I managed. And that was, I don't know, I just had fun with it, man.
Yeah, that's cool.
We'll put on some local music, some go-go music on high volume to attract people to come in. We'll knock out 200, 300 funnel cakes a night and just roll.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Now, were sports a big part of your upbringing and childhood?
Absolutely. Me and my dad would always sit and watch every NBA Finals, every Super Bowl, we went to soccer matches, hockey, matches. We tried everything, and within myself, I was in karate. I did football. I did basketball. I did baseball. Those were kind of the rotation. But it's crazy because then when I got to high school, out of nowhere, it was I want to do something athletic, but then I don't know if football is going to be the way to go. I saw some guys jogging through the hallway. I'm like, what are they doing? It's where are they going? And why they all run in unison, but running very fast pace.
Yeah.
And I was like, they can keep up with each other? Wait a minute. And then they were all ducks in a row almost in unison, because it was the shortest guy to the biggest guy. I was like, oh. So I went down and tried to follow them where they were going. After I tried to keep up, I got exhausted. And I saw them, and then they were doing burpees in the boiler room of the high school. I was like, what's going on? What's going on? And it was the wrestlers. And I was like, oh, man. I was like, okay. So I talked to the coach, and next thing I know, I became part of the wrestling team my freshman year of high school.
Okay, cool.
And I went through it and wrestled all the way through high school. Okay.
How was that? How was that experience? Because, I mean, I'm from Iowa, and, wrestling is God in Iowa, but, wrestling isn't really a mainstream sport, right? So what was that experience like? It kind of caught your eye right away when the guys are running, doing the burpees in the boiler room, which I don't know if a coach could get away with that nowadays. But what was the experience like? Kind of what was maybe a lesson or two that you learned through wrestling? Because I honestly believe wrestling is a great sport, and especially for us young guys, it can really teach us a lot about discipline, manhood, and things like that. So what was your personal experience?
Wrestling is chess. Wrestling is a chess match, because no matter what, you have to not look at your opponent's eyes, but look at his movement. Where is his arm going? Is he trying to lock you in? Is he trying to sling you with a headlock? Is he trying to fire miscarry you? Is he trying to take a shot on you? Is he going to shoot to the left leg or the right leg? Is he going to do a double leg shot? Okay, when you're pacing around the mat, when you're going into your circle, are you going to cross your legs over, or are you going to touch your feet and take a side step, so that way you do not cross your feet over, because the moment you do, he can ankle pick you.
Right.
So you watch every little thing that your body does, and I believe over the 4 years, you really kind of see what the culmination is from, okay, I'm getting pinned, what's going on, to then being able to be strong enough to move somebody out of your way and pin them, and being able to have that explosiveness, but also how far your lungs can go in terms of pushing and doing wind sprints up and down this hill. And, coach said we're doing everybody's last name, and we're going to add it all up. And that's the number of sprints we're going to do before we even do live wrestling. And trying to challenge yourself to go from that, and then hitting, dual meets in college, and going from a 2-2-2 to a 3-2-2 in college, and working out with these bigger gentlemen in college, and seeing how much faster pace and how strong and painful college wrestling is compared to high school.
For sure.
It teaches you a lot about who you are as a man, because on the mat, there's no teammates. It's just you and another person. That's it.
Yeah.
And you got 3 rounds to prove yourself, whether it be on points or if you pin the person. And if you pin them, great. Take a deep breath and start over for the next match. But if you go the distance, rehydrate, and then try to stay calm because you got to go back out there.
For sure. Cool. Now, let's talk about, your transition out of high school. What did did you go to college? If so, where'd you go? What was that experience like? Let's just talk a little bit about post high school.
I went to Johnson & Wales University in Providence, Rhode Island. That was amazing. But like we were talking about earlier, culture shock. That was the shock of everything because I went from a chocolate city to literally everybody was New England accents and wicked and ka and pak and the food, the atmosphere, just different. And Providence was this small little town to where you can jog from one end to the other, from Cranston all the way to downtown Rhode Island, and you're like, oh, okay. You pass all these different universities, you see different people, and Coach would literally make us jog from Cranston, and Cranston was where the wrestling room was, and we would jog all the way to downtown. And we would literally push through and go through RISD and then Brown University, down the hill around the mall, through the bus terminal and the Greyhound station.
Yeah.
Like, you see so much, but the fact that you're able to do 20 miles of a jog and see the entire city, going by the waterfront and seeing the water fires, eating some of like the great local fairs that they had on College Hill, and then even on Federal Hill, which is like the mafia like town, as I call it, because there's all these Italian restaurants that were just delicious and amazing.
Yeah.
It was the smallest little town, but it helped me focus because there wasn't a lot of trouble you could really get in Providence unless you reached out and looked for it. You were able to just focus on your studies, and my goal was to be a good chef, and I went to the culinary school up there, did my thing there for my associate's degree, and then went to the business campus downtown, and that's when I got my degree in food marketing. So being able to learn how to sell food, how to promote it, how to advertise, and pretty much how do you sell yourself. Because the goal was always to be my own boss.
For sure.
To work for myself. But I had to go through the growing pains of what that looked like in working odd jobs and working at restaurants and then doing the side hustle to say, okay, I want to do this on the weekends. But then you get burnt out. Then you have to put yourself in that mindset. When do you step out on faith to say, I can do this without help? There's not a book that can tell me. There's not a podcast. There's not anybody that's going to tell me how to run my show. And one day it just kind of clicks to where it's like, I don't really want to sit and answer to anybody anymore. I don't want to tell a boss what to do. Why can't I be my own? Why can't I control my own finances? Why can't I control my clientele? Write these contracts and create this euphoria for yourself, because every day you wake up knowing that you may be tired, you may be struggling, you may not have as much money as you want. It's yours. And you realize that you hit milestones every step of the way. I've been in business on my own for a year and a month, and it's ridiculous to see the level that you go on and the highs and lows that you get, and how people say, oh, I heard about you from so and so, the word of mouth. Like, I'm doing all this without even a website. This is just an Instagram, Facebook, friends suggesting friends to another person, or, oh, I'm coming from Atlanta, me and my friends would love to book you for Airbnb, or we're going to be in Breckenridge, can we have you, but can you stay, because we need you for 3 days. Oh, wow. And being able to like see what that money looks like and talk to the people about menus and that networking, because now you build a camaraderie with these clients. It's not just, okay, I cook for you, have a good day. It's a connection. Certain NFL players that I've cooked for, like my first NFL client, Brandon Marshall, like the linebacker that used to play here, he gave me so much good knowledge in terms of springboarding my career into different people. From him to Will Parks to Todd Davis to Joe Jones, the Ronald Learys, T.J. Ward, Corey Nelson, Shaquille Barrett, all of these gentlemen that I have had a chance to cook for. And now, like right now, his first meals were yesterday. Juwan Winfrey, the ex-wide receiver from CU, being able to just have these gentlemen that I've had connections with, walking into their homes and being able to just have conversations with them. It's no better feeling.
Right. And I came across you because somebody that I follow on Instagram, they were giving you a shout out, or they had tagged you, something like that. And I was like, oh, I wonder who this guy is.
Okay.
So you know what I mean? Like, and that's when you're doing your own thing. Even for me, like having my own personal training business, doing the contract and all that type of stuff. It's like it's the referrals. It's the word of mouth that is the most powerful form of advertisement that we could have. So now it sounds like in college you you ended up wrestling in college as well then?
I did.
Okay, all 4 years or?
No, I did. I did 2.
Okay,
I did 2 years, and I realized that I needed to kind of like buckle down on on the studies, so I want to make sure I was done on time. But then also the culinary program, you have to take certain externships and internships that takes all your time up.
Okay.
To where I had to commute actually into Massachusetts every day. So I was driving an hour a day just to do my internship before graduation. I didn't have enough time for wrestling season.
Right,
As much as I loved it, and I loved that, that pain and that grind with my teammates, me walking across that stage was a bigger reward than me attempting to wrestle in the Olympics. I knew that was a pipe dream, so it was more about what's tangible.
Okay,
me graduating was more tangible at the time.
For sure. Now, so you kind of mentioned when you were younger, you like in the summers you were working, with food and things like that. Where did this strong interest or even passion for food and cooking, where do you feel like that really took root in your life, Joel?
My grandmothers, both of them, my dad and my mom's mothers, going to their houses in the summertime and not seeing a takeout bag, not seeing a to-go box, not seeing pizza.
Right.
They made everything from scratch right there in front of you. If you got to go out and eat, that was a gift. And they didn't even take you. They'd make your cousins or your uncle or your auntie take you because they always felt you can eat what's in the house. Granted, I'd come back home from visiting for summer at least 10 pounds heavier. But it was always decadent, rich comfort food. And I think that's why I always mask my style after is simple, decadent comfort food, but then now with a twist to be healthier. To where grandma would make that loaded shepherd's pie with smothered it in gravy and then hand you this big roll that's the size of your hand and say, boom, that's your dinner. To where now I can say, okay, here's a ground bison, sweet potato shepherd's pie with peas, carrots, and red onion. And then there's no bread to go with it. That's just what your meal's going to be. But then do it reversed out to where all of the meat is on the top, and then you have the sweet potatoes kind of smeared on the bottom of the container to where you now have, okay, a 750 calorie meal that you can knock back post-workout. Being able to give those kind of ideas of food a jump start. Or I was on Fox 31 last week doing a demo, and that was stovetop crab and spinach mac and cheese. You take the differences of what the classic is and then turn it into something more, not even fancy or fine dining, but just something that's going to be different and catches people's eye. Or one of my vegan clients, I just did a vegan stroganoff for them, for the whole family with oat milk and vegan mayonnaise. It just takes it up to the next level. Because you're able to transition from, okay, what's a regular stroganoff with the sour cream and the mayonnaise and everything else to be a dairy-free whole dish garnished with parsley on top. And nobody would know the difference unless you really tricked them. Nobody knows that difference unless you kind of tell them. I've tricked friends all the time. Oh, yeah, it's a nice little bolognese I did with some ravioli. They didn't know. They were eating vegan. So, I mean, it's just how do you retool your mind?
That's awesome.
It is.
Cool. Okay, so now, you go to college and you step into the culinary program and things like that. Was kind of like the dream from the beginning, like when you were going into college and things like that, was the dream always to have kind of like your own business brand, or has that kind of like just transformed over the years as you've worked maybe for somebody else and in different restaurants and things like that? Where did the dream start for you to have your own brand, have your own business, and do it the way you want to do it?
Honestly, being 17 in culinary school, it was deer in the headlights. You got these people that talk about they work for Emerald and they were doing all these fancy things and they were evolving their own brand. And I'm like, you're a teenager. How the heck did you do that?
Right.
And I laugh because I'm like, oh, after a while when you start hearing these stories, okay, you say you work for Emerald. You worked in his restaurant. You were on an internship and he lets you wash dishes. Okay, I get it. You just wanted to make yourself look good in that mindset. And I think by junior year, I believe that was a dream, because going through the culinary program, you learn everything from the basis of nutrition, fine dining, table setups, tableside service, where it was making homemade guacamole right next to those people, and then professors will critique you on how you come to the table and present.
Wow.
Cherries Jubilee, bananas Foster, or even doing the traditional French classic like duck, and then doing a duck press right there, and then making gravy out of the duck bones and blood. And then like as you deconstruct and cut the duck breast and plate it right there in front of people, and then garnish it with that homemade gravy that you've done, and then serve that with fingerling potatoes and broccolinis or asparagus, giving that idea of what food is. I kept looking at it. Okay, food is this. Food is moving this way. And then the more I started watching people simply out of nowhere on a whim just started making their own like hustle. One of my friends in the dorms was selling breakfast sandwiches. And I said, okay, that's cool. You know, he's doing his thing because our dorms had kitchens, luckily, by the time we were upperclassmen. And, you know, he's cooking these little sandwiches. But then I started seeing him with a table outside of his dorm room. And I'm like, this dude got like 55 sandwiches on the table. But then by the time 10 o'clock hits, all the sandwiches are gone.
Yeah.
And having that kind of push, I started selling plates my senior year, just telling people, hey, $10 plates on, you know, Sundays, come by and get the Italian. Come by, oh, we're going to do soul food Sundays. Come by, get some fried chicken, macaroni and cheese, some collards, cornbread. Cool, but that's $15 because it's going to take longer. And I got to buy this damn chicken. So it's, how do you come from out of that? And I think the real push was when I was in the military. I think when somebody asked me to come cook for them at their house, that opened up the whole can of worms for me. Because I sat there, and then one of the ladies at the house was like, oh, I live in Denver, because I was stationed in Colorado Springs at the time. She said, I live in Denver. Do you mind coming up for one of the weekends? And then I'd love to have you do something for my husband as a surprise party. I said, oh, okay, absolutely. Me just thinking nothing of it. I'm just doing a catering gig. So I'll go buy all the stuff I need, all the tools, got my sternos, got all my burners ready to go, got everything laid out. And that was back in 2008. And within the last 12 years, I can't believe it's been 12 years since I've been here, but in 12 years, I was able to do almost 175 caterings. And, you know, and counting. And that doesn't even count the private dinners or like the NFL dinners I've done and different brunches that I've accomplished myself with. It's really about just how bad you push to focus on like the grind. And that was all on the side. So within the last year doing these 20 to 30 events, that's all just been on me because my wife gave me the green light and said, if you're going to try it, go all the way in. You got to tell the job.
That's powerful.
You got to tell the job, stop. Because you can't balance a full-time schedule where you're working 9 to 5 in Broomfield, Colorado, then trying to come back and do clients in the evening. You're going to burn yourself out. And me thinking I can be Superman, I did burn myself out to where you get sick, you know, you crash out, your workouts aren't as consistent, then you're falling asleep at like 8 p.m. because you're just that dog tired, and then you lose time with family, you lose time with friends.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm sitting there at a concert, and I'm sitting at a stool, and it's all the opening acts, and I'm just like, okay, yeah, I'm excited to see my artist. I love this guy. He's a great, you know, hip-hop artist, and I'm sitting there in the stool just dozing off because I didn't give myself enough time. That's when I knew I have to change this. So that early morning grind pushes to getting clients done by 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, grocery shop for the next day clients, take a damn nap, and then, you know, train so that way, okay, I've accomplished so much before 2 o'clock that most people don't do in a day.
I love it, man. Yeah. Now, you mentioned the military. Where did the military come into play for your life?
The United States Army helped put things in perspective. My OCD definitely went up to 10 from the 2.
Yeah. Being
able to be uniform with everything and how I make my closet look, how my hospital corners are in my bed when I make it up. But it was in a time in life where I was just kind of stuck. I just joined my fraternity. I was doing, you know, great. I was living with one of my line brothers, having a, you know, relaxed, you know, life. And something needed to change. Something needed to flip for me. And I was working. I was a manager while doing like school. I was a manager at this Bob Evans, you know, in like Baltimore, Maryland, or Catonsville, like right outside of Baltimore. So I was driving 45 minutes, and I had that 5 a.m. shift. Ugh. So being there at 5 in the morning, getting all the breakfast locked out, make sure everything was good with the meals, and these 2 military guys would always come in, and then they're like, hey man, how you doing, blah, blah, blah. Granted, at the time, I'm like 295. I'm nowhere near in shape to be thinking about military service. And they kept talking to me, and one day, I was driving home from work, and I said, can I come talk to you in your office? To one of the recruiters. Started to go through all the proper channels, the paperwork, took the ASVAB, and after like getting my scores, he said, well, pick these jobs. And then the first job that popped up was 92 Golf, and it was food service. I'm like, oh, well, this is what I do.
Yeah,
let's go ahead and
yeah.
let's keep this train moving, and let's get some food going.
Yeah.
And then you see Garrison Command and the CK and cooking on these trailers, and then overseas cooking in fobs and mobile kitchens, and what it looks like to really create a fine dining dish out of nothing. Like, you have to really be disciplined and be on your A game to say, okay, you got these powdered eggs, you got this powdered milk, you got these steaks from MREs, you got this chili mac. What do you do with all that? And make 3 courses for 5,000 soldiers. What are you going to? How do you change the dynamic of food for nothing?
Right.
This is what the budget is. There was no, we can figure it out, make it work. Your commanders just say, make it work. And the more I started cooking in the service, everything was so precise. Everything had to be, the steam tables and how everything was like polished. Everything was so shiny and pristine, and you just see all the food in these hotel pans and how uniform it is, and the garnishes that you have to incorporate, because no matter what, they say just because it's behind glass doesn't mean it can't look good. And then all my commanders would always say, make it look as if you wanted to eat it. And that always stuck with me, because you have to make sure that your food, even in the container, even with my meal prep clients, I want them to open up and be like, wow, okay, we got something going here. It may not be a plate, and I may not be at home with a knife and fork and a napkin, but I'm right here at my job, at my desk, instead of going to that McDonald's or that Burger King. No shade. But eating something that's more sustainable and healthier, that's going to give you more longevity and not give you heart disease and obesity and everything else.
Right.
Because that stuff, granted, it's tempting, it smells amazing, it's alluring, but it's not really tangible for us to eat in the long run.
Right. Now, you've mentioned a couple times as you're just kind of unpacking your story, Joel, being overweight, right? So I'd love to have you just talk about kind of like that experience in your life, because as you mentioned, you're waking up very early in the morning, you're getting that workout in. I've been watching your Instagram stories, your training, things like that. But you have mentioned that you've been heavy, very heavy. At points in your life. So just talk about maybe if that's been a struggle for you, just how you work on your mindset to say, hey, you know what, like I don't want to be this way anymore. How do you kind of work through all of that, and just maybe share about the fitness journey that you're currently on.
I look at old pictures. I look at those 2009, 2010, heck, all the way to 2015 pictures, and the full face, the loaded cheeks, the fat neck, the extra midsection, tight shirts. I even kept one sweatshirt as just a reminder. It just hangs there by itself, and it's a size 3X sweatshirt. I wear a size large now.
Yeah.
Like, I look at all of these different things to remind me of what I used to, and then there's certain pictures I just keep in my phone to where it's days I don't want to go work out. I look at this picture, or it's days that I want this damn donut, or I want that Cinnabon, or I want that, freaking pie with ice cream a la mode ready to go. But me wanting a nice slice of apple pie with some vanilla bean ice cream from Talenti's, it's okay. If you're gonna have a cheat, you have a cheat day, not a cheat week, not a cheat month, not a cheat anything. Or going out of town. Okay, I'm gonna enjoy myself because I'm out of town, but then come Monday morning, I'm right back at it. I'm not going to go back to what I used to look like, because that's not fair. And honestly, being winded, playing with my children, that was the cap. That was it for me to say, I have to stop. I got to figure this out. Like bump that Five Guys double with the large fry and the milkshake, and let's go ahead and get this turkey burger, this veggie burger, a single one on lettuce with avocados and some heirloom tomatoes with no dairy on it, and then eating that with some roasted sweet potatoes. Changing that mindset to say, I'll have my burger and fries. I just have a plated burger and fries, not this bun and this foil and this greasy paper bag that I got, and I carry that out. And then a big glass of lemon water instead of a milkshake. So it's about changing those dynamics. Granted, I love a milkshake, but then now I think, okay, milkshake, I think smoothie.
Yeah,
I'm going to have an amazing smoothie or a protein shake that's going to sustain me, hold me, but also fuel the muscles. Like the way I was, that's it. I mean, the heaviest I've been was 315.
Wow.
Right. And then the fact that I'm sitting here at 230 right now and still going, that's the push. Like, I want to get to 20, if I can keep that consistent and then have that vascularity and definition and everything. Now, granted, I don't want to look like the Micro Shees and the CT Fletchers of the world, but to have that kind of strength, that's all I need. Because no matter what, I'll look the part to where it's like, you don't want to mess with me, but then also, wow, he's a fit chef.
Yeah.
He's somebody that can cook this food, make it look this good, trains like this, but then he can still have fun when he needs to and goes out with friends and eat that molten lava chocolate cake, you know, but that's like once a month. Or if it's, you know, a piece of cheesecake here or there, or my favorite, you know, spot in town, I can go to Beatbox and go get a vegan donut. To still say, okay, I cheated, but I did it with dairy free.
Right.
And it was still good, and it was gluten free. So being able to have that kind of balance and that give and take, it's worth every bit of it.
Cool. So has like has weight and maintaining like that healthy weight, has that been kind of like an up and down for you? Has that been a struggle throughout your life, or just maybe at one period in your life?
First out of the military, you know, in my headset, it was like, screw PT. I'm not gonna keep doing this. I'm not gonna wake up at the crack of dawn. You know, I don't have to hear like the reveille and wake up and go run 3 miles. Battalion runs 7 miles anymore. So I got complacent. And I got comfortable, and then I got in a relationship, and then had kids, and definitely got comfortable to where it was, okay, I'm doing the smothered pork chops, so we're going to do these country style ribs, and have that with macaroni and cheese, and then garden salad, and then half the time the salad wouldn't even get eaten because it's just sitting there because you're so focused on this big mound of potato salad or macaroni and cheese and these ribs. But my mindset really flipped when my daughter had passed away in 2017. It was the push to say, okay, how do I change the dynamic? And that's when my boy got me into the gym. And when I got into the gym, I also found a stronger religion base as well. So I converted to Islam. So being Muslim and cutting out, like, you know, the pork and no more spare ribs or baby back ribs. For me, it was, okay, how do I eat this turkey breast and still smoke it and taste barbecue and not think about what I used to eat? It was really changing my whole mindset, not drinking alcohol anymore, and being able to kind of live this clean slated life and walk a different path. So the discipline became with the workouts to where it was days I crawled out of my boy's gym. He worked me into like death, where I couldn't power clean 135 at a point to where like shoulder presses and I couldn't even pull up. He was a Marine, me in the Army. We didn't do pull-ups in the Army, man. You know what I'm saying? That was for a PT test. But this dude's knocking out 50 pull-ups. And then has it like freaking like doing Tabata style to where he's doing 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off with this daggone like clock. And I'm like, why are we still moving? And then it went from that to me doing a 15-minute pull-up gauntlet with him to where we went live and did just different variations, pull-up on chains, the square grips, full like rectangular bars, fat grips, being able to just to do incline bench from being able to do the bar to now being able to bench 295 with band tension. Deadlifting 100 pounds to now being able to deadlift almost 505. You know, and then with band tension, that's another 80 pounds on top of that. So 560 was my cap. At the point where I can pick up as much as I could. Back squats, almost high 5 and 6. But now changing what that looked like to now being more of a cardio-based hit, like workouts to where I'm doing mixed cardio. I'm doing kettlebell squat presses, changing that up. The weight then now becomes maintained rather than being added on, and the muscle being added on. I'm just now at that shred point to where that half hour to 45 minutes on that treadmill becomes life, because it helps me, one, release, it helps relax me, but then I sweat out all the bad, and then as I leave the gym, I'm trying to revitalize with some good.
Cool. Now, you mentioned your daughter passing away. You've alluded to that a couple of times. Are you cool with just maybe touching on that for a minute, or?
Her heart was too big. So her and her twin brother, Preston, who's now 2, almost 3 next month, they were born premature, a month and a half. And her name was Peyton, and Peyton, her heart was too big, and they kept telling us from the first trimester, oh, she's not going to make it. Okay. Second trimester, she's still here. Third trimester, she was born. Here she is in the world, and all these different complications from her intestinal tract, her heart, to everything wasn't really working. So they're like, okay, we're going to figure some things out. So within 4 months, they tried pretty much everything. And one day I was planning for a big family reunion, and my wife told me to come to the hospital. And they had her on a life support machine. Her lung wasn't inflating. It was a 95% chance she would die on the table anyway for a 5th operation. So we made the conscious decision, and I said, it's time to let her go home. And I had so much rage. I had so much rage. And I grieved in anger. She grieved in silence. That gym became my anger. Not towards my household. The gym became my release.
Yeah.
Like, the gym saved my life. Like, heart issues, the anger, the high blood pressure, everything was literally culminating and building up to come to the top of the surface. Like, I was literally the volcano walking around. I didn't want to talk to people. I didn't want people to bother me. Business was getting affected because I wasn't calling clients back. I was just in a bad space because how much hurt. Because I was my only daughter I was going to have, man. I got 3 boys. And she was the baby. She was born last. She had so much protection. Man. And to lose her in that kind of frame of mind, it hurt. Like, I held my little girl till she got cold. You know, she was warm. And I told him to take all these plugs off of her. And then I just held her till she closed her eyes and slept. And then she waits for me now with patience till I come see her again. And then I motivate my life to know that anybody that is a parent, anybody that has children, embrace and enjoy every moment that you have. I don't care how frustrated you are with them. You may not get that moment back, period. So please enjoy it. And then that's how I live now. I do it for her.
Cool. I appreciate you touching on that. Now I want to, we've got to, you've got to actually go pick up your son here in a little bit. So we'll start moving towards the finish line, but I really want to just, touch a little bit more on like what you're doing in the sense of a private chef. Like what does that look like? Cause I mean, obviously I don't really know anything about being a chef other than maybe you see some things on TV or whatever. Right. But so what does it mean to be a private chef? And like kind of like how do you, like you've already mentioned kind of like the word of mouth and things like that, and then you just mentioned like you're at one point after your daughter had gone home, your business suffered because you weren't making those calls. What does kind of the day-to-day look like in regards to being a private chef as opposed to maybe being a chef at somebody else's restaurant?
Same concept, just different work ethic. So in somebody's restaurant, you're prepping. Private chef, you're prepping too, but it may be for ingredients. You may be writing a menu. You may be doing a certain recipe that you want to try, and you're sitting in front of these cookbooks and Pinterest and like YouTube and looking at examples. Food Network cooking channel. You're looking at all these different examples of what somebody's trying to accomplish that you want to do too. It can be like that strawberry glazed chicken wing to the shepherd's pie that we talked to, or a certain like potato dish. You want to make sure that it's fine-tuned, so you're literally reading and studying it, so when it comes to cook day, you're just in the moment. You're not looking at a sheet, you're not looking at the recipes, you're not trying to go back and forth on the screen. Phone is away, and you're just in the zone. And throughout the week, you submit the recipes to the clients, you send the different menu options, say, hey, what do you guys think about this? And you modify based on people's dietary needs. Because some clients may not like green beans, some clients may be allergic to shellfish. But if you have 12 clients in one day, on a Sunday, that's my go-day. It's game day. Having those different clients and then having containers broken down, I literally have them separated on the prep tables to where you know exactly who's going to be getting what kind of food. So I know, okay, here's my vegan family. Cool. Here's my gluten-free person. Cool. Here's my keto person. Cool. Here's my high-protein person with the double carb because they're trying to gain weight. Okay, here's the wife that needs less carbs but wants the same thing that her husband's getting. Here's the one that wants snacks to go with this. And then the same thing happens on Monday. So Sunday, Monday, that's that culminating fact of how do you push past it. The private chef aspect is you have to really balance your time. Because if not, you're in the kitchen all day. Like I have chef friends that are in other parts of like the country, they work top to bottom 12-hour shifts. Try to work smarter. Try to work bigger than that. Push clients to another day if you have to, because I thought that I can get everybody done on Sundays. Not going to happen.
Right.
Because you'll be there all day, but then you also realize that costs money. That commissary kitchen, you're paying that by the hour. The one I rent is $20 an hour. If I'm in there for 8 hours, you know what I'm saying? I'm already at $160 like that. So one person who just paid me for their meals, I had to give that to the commissary. So that's the money that's not going to go to my house.
Yeah.
How do you cut that time in half? How do you pre-prep things and marinate your chickens the day before and have everything ready to go in like these like Ziploc freezer bags so that when you get them out, you put your gloves on, lay them out into the sheet pan, ready to go in the oven. So by 6 in the morning, all your proteins are done. Now all you're doing is cutting them up. You're laying them into the containers. Then your vegetables are done. Move that. Now your carbs are done. Cool. Okay, all my pasta's being boiled. Okay, now I have it strained. It's cooled now. Now I can fold in the sauces for those. Okay, here comes the basil. Here comes the onion. Here comes the garlic. how do you put all that into play to create one massive, beautiful looking spread for all your clients for their weekly consumption? That's the difference, because in a restaurant, receipts come in. Sometimes you have highs and lows. As a private chef, you have no low point. You just work. You stay until the job is done. Brad Pitt said it best in Snatch. You stay until the job is done.
Right.
You push every envelope to get to the point to where you're done. When a private family is like, oh, we want this, we want that, I can't get in the house till 7 o'clock. I don't want to be eating super late, so I have to fly. I got to go for it. Like, I have to be efficient. You know, I had a family that it was a brunch spread with drunken French toast and Jamaican jerk wings and roasted potatoes. Potatoes take an hour. The wings are going to take me at least 45 minutes to an hour. It's about how do you broil, mix with the ovens, crank things up. How do you do dual cooking methods to where I sauteed and then basted my potatoes to where they soften up faster, and to where my macaroni and cheese was ready to go on the stove top, but then getting broiled into the oven to make sure the cheese caramelized on top, so that way they get that crunch factor without me sparing that, oh, I'm going to do grandma's baked mac and cheese that takes an hour and 45 damn minutes to do. You have to do all that. So in private chef, your time is the essence. That's my biggest thing. When you waste time, you wasted money. I don't waste a minute of any second if I can, because I can do what I have to do, get the job done, but have fun while I'm doing it. And then when I get a chance to sit down, I can look back and say, look what I did.
For sure. Now, I would love to have you just maybe share quickly maybe one of those where one of your you maybe you had a client or clients, or you were doing a catering or something where something didn't go as planned, because as an entrepreneur, as a human being, life never goes as planned, and I'm sure that happens a lot, and you have to put out a lot of different fires, because as we mentioned before we turn on the mic, you're a solo act right now, right? So just quickly mention maybe one time that maybe pops up in your mind that everything kind of like went wrong, and you obviously, I'm sure you probably put out the fire the best you could, but maybe there was somebody that wasn't satisfied. What did that look like, and then how did you kind of handle that?
A live action station for a private client, pan-searing steaks in this beautiful, beautiful house, gorgeous island. Like, the island was big enough to where all the guests were able to sit there with fine china in front of me as I'm cooking for them. So I'm pan-searing these steaks, and then as I turn around and I'm presenting another part of like the dish, the steak heat was too high, and then as I'm searing the steaks again, some of the grease happened to hit the gas and the flame from the propane stove. So we had kind of almost like a flambe thing going on. Granted, the client thought that I was just giving a show.
Oh yeah.
Shit, the heat was too high and I messed up. So as I'm turning around, it's like just, oh, okay. And then as I flip the pan and I flip the steak in the pan, the steak miraculously happened to do a nice little somersault and then land back into the pan. And thank goodness for me wearing a long sleeve chef coat, because that grease definitely popped into my arm, my wrist, and I felt it because it was in a garlic butter with some fresh clove and some rosemaries. And I was like, oh crap. And I was like, dang, that hurts, but I don't want to show them I'm in pain. So I flip it, and then I put it back in, and then I slid the steak onto the cutting board, let it rest, and they're like, oh, and as I poked it, I'm like, okay, perfect medium rare. And then this fire, and then fancy, as I just held the pan in my hand, and just kind of, and the flame luckily went out without me having to dump it in the water. And then the smoke detectors go off, because I was like, if these smoke detectors go off, and I can't crack the window or the door because it's like 12 degrees outside, it's cold as hell, I'm gonna be in trouble. And my client was just like, "Oh man, that's awesome!" Everybody's clapping. Yeah, oh, that's great. This steak is delicious. I'm sitting there in my head like, "Oh crap." Oh, I almost burnt this beautiful house down. I can't. It's like, your insurance is good, right? Because this is about to be a bad day. It was so embarrassing, but that's why it's always learning about your time frame. And I'll tell clients, I need an extra hour, if you don't mind. Somebody's able to let me into the Airbnb or to the house before I get there. And some clients say, well, I'm at work still. I'll leave a key somewhere, and then they'll figure out something. If they have a code, I'm able to, or they have that ring. So it was use an app or August, the automatic thing to help me get in and out with just a press of a button. That helps, because that way that knows clients trust what I'm going to do and know that I literally stay in one spot.
For sure.
Well, two, kitchen, restroom, because I'm drinking water all the time. That's the only time that you see me moving. Outside of their house, I'll wave with the camera, let them know, hey, everything's ready to go. When you get home, your spread's ready. Your guests get here, I'm greeting them at the door, how you doing? Here's the champagne, or here's the wine. This is going to complement this dish. So it is a matter of how you do your timing, but then also just watching your heat.
Mm-hmm.
Please watch your heat, man. Bad day.
Cool. All right. Here in closing, you were named 2019 Industry Chef of the Year. For those of us that don't necessarily understand what that means, what does that mean? And then what does that personally mean to you to receive that award?
That was the peak, definitely. That's definitely like the highest point of my career at this point. 3,000 chefs got nominated.
Wow.
The finals were 250 chefs. Then that broke down to one chef per state to win.
Wow.
So 50 winners out of the states. And I believe the testimonies of these clients and these stories that they've told about myself, the food, and how I carry myself, that is what got me over the hump. And then even just the people over the industry, how amazing their staff is, and being able to talk directly with the CEO and, you know, his PR team getting you into the news, and being able to do a demo for Fox 31 and talk to those amazing anchors over there and the producers and the cameramen, just what that looks like. And then Denver Business Journal, just people showing that this entrepreneurial spirit is still alive, and it's
Absolutely.
now starting to be watered and growing, and how this catapult of industry, because I mean, people like Von Miller's private chef, who's a really good friend of mine, he was in this competition. Some of my friends in Pittsburgh were in the competition for their state. People in New York, one of my homeboys from Jersey, he won as well. In DC, a great chef that I admire, he won. It's just a lot of amazing people and chefs that I've looked up to for years that have now kind of put me in that category, and they've started watching and following me, and then they're like, wow, your style's so different, it's eclectic. I've never seen anybody cook it that way. Or why are you doing your Brussels sprouts with, you know, butter, salt, pepper, and garlic, but then you put water in it to baste it? I'm like, because I'm trying to cook it thoroughly inside and out. Granted, we can do fried Brussels sprouts all day long, but who has time for that when you have 75 containers to fill? How do you balance the switch up, and how do you create a different style for yourself? So my style is comfort food with a twist, taking it, revamping it, making it healthy and sustainable and clean enough for people to eat, but be satisfied but not feel guilty after they eat the meal.
Cool. So where do you see yourself and just kind of like what you're doing as a private chef, Joel? Where do you see yourself? Where do you want to take this business? Let's say in the next 2 to 5 years, kind of like what is that long-term goal, vision, dream that you have?
The goal is to be exclusively a private chef for different clients, NFL or whatever, doesn't matter, NBA, but to be an athlete's private chef is a big goal of mine, but then also being able to just be exclusively in people's homes, to where I greet them in the morning with their breakfast, and then dinner is waiting for them in the refrigerator. That kind of like chef, like not concierge service, but more like a boutique style thing, to where they know that they have somebody they can call on a couple times a week to just knock out stuff. They're too busy in their day. You got crazy clients, but being able to just come and deliver you 15 to 20 meals so you're good for the week, so you have stuff to eat on while you're at work, stuff to eat and snack when you're on the road and when you're doing your podcast. That kind of mindset, kind of taking what I do now with meal preps and private chefing and catering, kind of just taking it and minimizing it to the extent of private events, no more than 50 people. Weddings are again, weddings are they test you.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure.
Right, they're really difficult to balance. Doing meal preps for different people, because that is just a very great retention to see clients and how their body changes over time from eating your food. Like I have a vegan client, Miss Amanda Gordon from Gojo Auto. She went to this. She was like, okay, Joel, I'm gonna do keto. Okay, then Joel, I'm gonna do plant-based. Okay, now can we just go straight vegan with no dairy? And she is like done so much better for herself, and her energy level and her body has changed so much. Just how she's doing, she does so well, you know, with it. Everybody's different. My friend from Body Be Fit, you know, Fred Little, his body's different. He can eat, you know, like the steaks and the chickens and like the big seafood, but he put on so much mass. He was 145 and now he's sitting at 220. Like, you're able to balance, you know, your body and change so much just within who you are and how you live to be sustainable. And I think intimate meal preps, intimate dinners, intimate parties, and especially that brunch scene, that's big too. That's the fun part.
Cool.
You know, maybe a thought of a brick and mortar, but I'm just enjoying what I'm doing now.
Yeah, man. No, it's cool, and I wish we had some more time just to get into your story a little bit more, but we don't. So, what's kind of maybe that final word or message that you would like to leave with myself and the 127 Fit podcast listeners?
Don't hesitate. Just go. Don't be scared to fail. Don't be scared to try. Because if you don't try, you don't know what happens. You have to push past the questioning of yourself. Because the more you question yourself, the more doubt. Doubt then turns to anguish, and then anguish turns to suffering. Go past every threshold that you thought you had and push past those two. Take each day, take each day with that focus to say, I'm going to be better than I was yesterday, because you may not see tomorrow. So accomplish whatever you can today.
Beautiful. All right, Joel, if anybody that's listening to this has resonated with your story, which I know there's going to be people that have resonated at least on some level with your story, if they want to reach out to you, if they want to follow along your private chef journey, if there's people listening and they're like, man, I want this guy to be my private chef, or they've got something going on where they need some cooking, whatever all of that is, where can my listeners find out more about you and the services that you offer?
For myself, my Instagram is at Chef Joel Mays III, all one word, or at May_I personal chef. Definitely hit me in the DM. My phone number is on both pages. Contact me if you have any questions about food, life, fitness, just happiness, man. Because the more you go through life, all you can do is smile over everything.
Cool. So, Joel, I just personally want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule. I know you dropped off your son, came over here, podcast with me, going to go pick him up again from school. So I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate just the transparency and sharing your story and talking about just kind of like your journey, where it's at right now, entrepreneurship and all the things. So thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you guys for listening.
Cool. So 127 Fit podcast listeners, once again, I am so grateful and appreciative of your listening ears. Thank you for hanging out with Joel and myself today on the 127 Fit podcast. If you'd like to find out more about my guests or myself personally, you can find out that information on Instagram at 127 Fit. Facebook is at Quentin Vars. LinkedIn is at Quentin Vars. If you guys would do me a huge favor and please leave a 5-star rating and review, and also subscribe to the podcast, that would be great. Those written reviews, especially in iTunes and within the Apple Podcast app, just really, really helps out in other people finding, more people finding the podcast, more people listening, and the name of the game, more people being positively impacted. If you think you would be a great guest, or if you have a friend or an acquaintance you think would be a great guest or guest for the 127 Fit podcast, please feel free to send me an email or give this email out. The email is 127fit@gmail.com. And as you guys are finding great value in a specific episode or episodes of the 127 Fit podcast, I would ask another huge favor that you would take that specific episode or episodes that you're finding that value in and share it on your Facebook and Instagram stories using the hashtag #BeSomeoneToFollow. And per the usual, I will leave you with Proverbs 24:10, which states, if you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small. This time until next time, I will catch you guys later.